If you are or ever have experienced your journaling system failing right in front of you, then you are in the right place. Journaling is something that's supposed to be very rewarding for us. It's actually supposed to do something, but sometimes it can feel more of a hassle than it does as a help. But most of the time, that's simply because we need to change one or two things that is causing us to have a faulty system. So let's take a look at some of the most common things that could be throwing your system in for a loop so we can get that fixed and you can enjoy that journaling process. One big thing that we often don't think about is that our lives change as time goes on, and so does the need for our journaling method. The system that I had in place 2 years ago wouldn't work for my lifestyle now because I now work remotely, mostly from home. I don't have an office that I actually have to go to. And that's something that you need to think about as well, especially if you have big changes in your life. The system that you set up for yourself originally might not work anymore, and that might be what's causing your system to fail. Another issue I see with a lot of people that are journaling is you're not referencing your entries. Your journal isn't always intended to be one of those set it and forget it type machines.
Then set it and forget it.
Sometimes it's important for you to go back and review your entries depending on what you're putting into your journal. I keep every journal that I've ever written in stored away in a nice safe place in case I ever need to go back and reference things. And traditionally, I find that I do that more often than I would think that I would. So if you feel like you're writing all this stuff and putting it into your journal, but you're not really getting anything back out of it, it could be because you're not going back to review that material to make changes and figure out what the next steps actually are. And I want to start this one off with a phrase because I think you're going to pick up on it really quickly. Perfection impedes progress. And what I mean by that is if we spend too much time in our journals trying to make it this most perfect thing and not have any mistakes, not get messy from time to time, we're not doing ourselves any favors because we're not perfect. Nobody is. And your journal being a reflection of your mind and what's going on, it can't be perfect either, and you shouldn't strive for perfection. What you should instead strive for is making progress. Rather, that's trying to be more productive, if it's just trying to clear out your head, if it's trying to be creative, whatever it is that you need from a journaling experience, get that out of it because seeking perfection is not one of those things. Something else that could be slowing up your progress with your journal is being too self-critical of the things that you're writing about. I know sometimes it can be really hard to write about a lot of this stuff and not be over-analyzing or overly critical of the thoughts that you're actually having. But when you are journaling out your thoughts, you want to write everything exactly as it is in your mind, but try to be more objective. Look at your thoughts at a more scientific approach of considering why you might be thinking that way, what has caused those. Start asking yourself questions rather than thinking negatively on yourself, because your journal is supposed to be a safe place for you to write and to alleviate yourself of your thoughts and get all that out onto a piece of paper. One of the things I love to say is that our brains are great for processing information, but they're not really great at storing information. That's what the journal's for. It's a place for you to store the information until you can process it. And the next issue is just not being honest enough. I mean, if you are going to take the time to truly write out your thoughts, your desires, your imperfections, whatever it is that you need to get out of you, and you can't be completely honest with yourself and this journal, that is going to cause you a lot of issues. And I know some of the things that you might want to express or talk about are difficult. They are tough to face those fears. And maybe one of your fears is somebody else reading that. I do have a video on different things that you can do to prevent people from reading your journal, or if they do find it, ways to prevent them from knowing exactly what you wrote down. So if that's one of your fears, check out that video. But you've got to be honest with yourself in your writing. You can't hold back. And I think that the honesty and the self-critiquing can go hand in hand together, because sometimes when we are writing out that harder stuff, especially if it's about ourselves or our own thoughts, we tend to want to criticize ourselves. And we have to remain objective as possible so that we can get those things out and realize why we think this way or why this is happening. Another issue that could be dampening your journaling system is to not think of your journal as something important enough. You put it out there as more of like a commodity. You maybe rank this along with doom scrolling or casually reading a book or just doing something nonchalantly. Or maybe you're looking at it from the perspective of it's cool or it's trendy because other people are doing it. Maybe I should journal too. But until you take your journaling process seriously, it's not necessarily going to do all the things that you need it for. Again, that could be a creative outlet. It could be getting your thoughts out on the paper. It could be figuring out your life. Journaling can be as something as deep or on the surface as you want it to be. If you're not taking it seriously, it might not work out too well for you. And I'm not saying here to take it overly seriously to the point that it becomes too intimidating to pick up your journal. But you've got to treat it more than just doing something blah, just a part of your day, if that makes any sense. And the last thing I want to throw out there is just keep everything as simple as possible. I said this in my last video. The more complex you make these things, the harder it is for you to pick up and actually do it. So the simpler you make your journaling process and your journaling system, the more likely it is to succeed. The more parts that you add to it, the more that you have to keep up with, the more that you have to maintain, the less likely you're going to be successful at it. And just remember, journaling is a journey. It is a part of you. It's a direct reflection of your thoughts and your most inner workings. And whatever you need out of the experience is what you should be striving to get. And if you're not getting that, chances are you're probably just doing something wrong. And that's okay as long as you're willing to figure out what that problem is and try to find a way to fix it rather than just tossing your journal aside and forgetting about it altogether. But now I want to hear your creative comments on ways that you've overcome your struggles with journaling, in case maybe there's some points that I missed that would be helpful to other viewers of this video. But I just want you to remember that no matter where you are on your journey right now, I wish you the best and happy journaling.